Hello! It's a Tuesday, so you know what that means.
It's time for a tier list.
That's right, tier list Tuesday. It's not tier list Thursday. It's not weird list Wednesday, right? It's tier list Tuesday.
What is a weird list? Is it like werewolves?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. We should do those.
It's ranking all of our favorite Brad Weirs.
Oh. Is he an S tier?
He's an S tier.
Okay.
He's an S tier.
So, today, on today's Tier List Tuesday, we're going to be going over the Leviathan missions and our thoughts on all of them, and which ones we like and which ones we may want to see improved.
That's right. So, when 10th edition dropped, the Leviathan Tournament Companion came out, and it recommends 15 different missions, right? 15 different combinations of a primary mission, a mission rule, and a deployment.
Yep.
All right? 15 combinations.
None of that random shuffling that the game says to do.
No. So that's great if you want to pick up game or you want a kitchen table game, but for events, and especially for GW events, they stick to the mission pack, which is, has missions from A to O. So that's 15 different missions. And some of them are good.
Yeah.
Some of them are
actually really, really good.
Some of them are really good.
Yeah. Some are less good.
Some
are less good.
We'll talk about it. We'll get to it.
We don't like.
Yeah. So we're going to go through each of the missions, and we're going to say where it ranks on the scale of Art of War Seal of Approval.
Yep.
Well designed.
Yep.
Whatever. Huh?
Yeah, those are our tiers. So Art of War Seal of Approvals, these are missions that we would love to see basically at every event. We think they're staples, and I enjoy playing them tremendously. Well-designed missions are just that. They're well-designed missions. Whatever missions are very fine. They probably have some flaws.
I don't have a problem with it. It's
okay.
All right. Maybe I have a little problem with it, but I don't really care.
They're okay. Missions are like, these have some serious
What
flaws.
really were they thinking on this one?
Maybe they have some kind of massive imbalance. If you go first or second, that's not fairly compensated. There's just some big issues here. These are generally missions that I think the game could be a lot healthier without.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get right into it.
All right.
Let's get right into it. So we've got Mission A.
The humble Mission A, Search and Destroy, Take and Hold Chilling Reign. My favorite mission of the entire pack.
Same here.
It's the best one.
We're starting out on a banger.
Yeah.
This one is just the best mission.
It's not even particularly close. It's just way better than all the other missions.
Well, you could make an argument that I think Search and Destroy and Crucible Battle are fighting for the best deployment.
Yes, yeah.
For sure. But I don't think there's a take and hold on Crucible Battle.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. We'll find out. We'll see. And so that means that, by default, best deployment, best mission, Chilling Reigns
is the best one.
It's just the best one.
It's okay.
It's the one that we play on the most because if Quinton or I just go, do you want to just play on Mission A? The other person always goes,
yes.
Yes.
All my TTS games are on Mission A because, it's the easiest one. You don't have to, think about it. It's the best one. I think every tournament should be composed entirely of Mission A.
Mission A is grand. And I like table quarters a lot.
Yeah.
So I want to play on Mission A more.
I like table quarters because it always leads to very dynamic games. Because you have 3 vectors that you can easily go, right? You can go to the top, you can go to the right, or you can go straight at your opponent. And they're all viable.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, we'll talk more about other missions. This one is just
the best.
Just solid.
Yeah.
Maybe there's going to be some others that come close, but damn.
There is none in my heart so prominent as Mission A.
They named it properly.
Yeah,
right?
they really did.
They didn't name it Mission F or
S-tier.
whatever. This is Mission A for A tier, for maybe even S tier.
Yeah, well, if you haven't, you want to transition back over to...
Yeah.
If you haven't gotten it by the fact that we've been gushing for forever, Mission A is the best one, and it is an Art of War Seal of Approval.
I always just feel like I'm playing 40k in Mission A, and some of the other ones I don't.
Yes.
Some of the other ones I feel like I'm playing some weird side game. But not speaking of which, we've got Mission B. The much worse cousin to Mission A.
So I don't hate this one that bad. It does have this weird flaw in that priority targets really incentivizes you to go second. And because you get a bunch of extra points. But also, it means in the early turns of the game, holding the objectives in the middle is not actually that valuable.
Yeah, so
So
it's a split center objectives.
Yes.
And priority targets. So if you've never played priority targets,
Yes.
priority targets is take and hold is probably just the best mission.
Yeah.
Take and hold is you get 5, 10, or 15 points if you control 1, 2, or 3 objectives at the start of your turn.
Yep.
Easy peasy, there you go.
Priority target is you hold 1 or 2, get 5 or 10. And then at the end of the game, for each objective you hold, you get 5 points up to 15.
On top of scoring on turn 5.
Yes.
So like turn 5, you can score 10 at the start of your turn, and then 15 at the end of your turn.
Yes.
And what this does with 6 objectives on the board, especially with split objectives, it means it is brutally impossible to get someone to not have a 10-point turn.
Yep.
And even if you do, like let's say I am ragdolling my opponent on the board. Like I am just destroying them. I have objectives, they have their home objective, barely, and I'm just like, I'm dominating the board. I get 10 points, they get 5.
Yeah.
So I get 10 turn 2, 10 on turn 3, 10 on turn 4. They get 5 on turn 2, 5 on turn 3, 5 on turn 4 because I'm just beating them up.
Yep.
But then on turn 5, they turn the corner and
they get a 15.
They get a 10 at the start of their turn and a 15 at the end of their turn. And I get a 5 and a 5.
You both have like...
We drew!
Primary, yeah.
I'm wrecking them on primary for turns 2, 3, and 4. And it turns out that is equally as important as one turn.
Of turn 5. So
I hate priority targets so much.
I actually quite like priority targets because the game is really go first incentivized right now. I don't like priority targets with hidden supplies because there's too many objectives and it's too easy to get points, and there's no point in fighting over them, right?
Yeah.
Because like if you hold your home and literally any other objective, you max primary.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I'll say about priority targets is it feels like it artificially keeps the game close for turns 1 through 4. Like it artificially limits the amount of points you can score to a certain band through turns 2 through 4.
Yep.
And then on turn 5 just gushes points at whoever controls the board.
Yes, but also the problem is that like if you go first, you have such an advantage. So I think it's I have no qualms with priority targets. I actually quite like it. I just don't like the priority targets plus hidden supplies.
Yeah, I personally think priority targets is one of the worst missions in the game.
I think it's one of the better ones.
So here's the thing.
I think that also just comes down to how you and I play the game very differently.
In 6th edition, right? Or 5th edition or whatever, it was just how many objectives you controlled at the end of the game that mattered.
Yeah, but like
it feels very close to that.
But it's not that, right? Like it like 15 points is a lot of points, but it's not like all the points.
It's 25 primary points on turn 5.
Like yes, but also stuff as you start.
This is like when somebody tells me that the snitch actually doesn't matter that much in Quidditch, right? Like, oh, well, like, if you get 150, I think, point advantage on the quaffle, you can outmatch the snitch. And ultimately, it always comes down to, does Malfoy or Harry get the snitch?
No,
because that's the only thing that matters.
In book 4, I think it was book 4, I read Harry Potter a long time ago, there was the one game, and they were watching the cup in the stands, and they caught the snitch too early, and they ended up losing because of it.
Sure.
So with the point...
That feels like they just sort of, like, theoretically it could happen, but realistically, it's just like, yeah, whoever controls the board on turn 5 has a massive advantage.
Right, but, like, if you're beating your opponent up, you will do that.
Not necessarily. Like, the game of 40k is about controlling the board for 5 turns.
Well, yeah, I agree, but, like, if you're literally in your corner, you're not scoring secondaries. I think the problem is that, like, there's a fundamental issue in 40k right now, is that going first just matters too much. So I don't see priority targets as much as, like, you got a huge bonus to someone who's going second. I think it's kind of in the same way that, like, other missions used to have Goblet of Fire. I have no idea which one that is.
That's 4.
Yeah, I think it's 4.
That's 4.
I was right, look at me. I read this book in elementary school. But you, like, are basically kind of being, like, okay, because you know how, like, when people are racing, if you're inside the track, you start further back than if you're outside the track, although, like, you are, like, it looks like you're starting further back, but you're actually running the same amount of distance because the person on the outside has to run further.
I get that.
I think it's like that.
I don't think it's, like, I think priority targets is second turn favored, and then 40k is first turn favored. I just think they could have done that a much better way than just being like, turn 5 is all that matters, go.
Well, I completely agree, right? I think priority targets is not, like, an ideal fix. I think there are better ways to go around it, but that requires more of like a holistic approach to fixing the first turn disparity.
I don't even think it fixes the first turn disparity.
I think it helps though. I think it's a substantive improvement in like there are a lot of times where I'm like, man, I wish I'd gone first here, but at least as priority target, so going second isn't the end of the world.
I hear that, but like, man, it feels like I've never played a game that feels like the mission is trying to influence how the game plays more than priority targets. Because priority targets, as I said, like, you just cannot build a lead, period.
I guess that's fair. But, like, okay, I guess a lot of it also comes down to the fact that I am a very, like, cautious reactive player and you're a more aggressive proactive player. So I really enjoy priority targets because it lets me sit in my corner and be fine.
It gives you a little security blanket of like, don't worry, fella, all that matters is turn 5. Just you don't have to play the game until turn 5. It's fine.
It's a 25-point teddy bear that I get to hold and cuddle. My opponent holds the entire board.
Yeah. You're just like, don't worry, fella. Turn 5, this mean man controlling the board for turns 1 through 4. That doesn't even matter.
It doesn't even matter.
You just control the board on turn 5, Chief. That's all that you need to do.
I love it if you do that. You get like 40 points for literally just controlling turn 5.
Yes! You get like so many points.
But
you like almost max primary off of controlling your home objective.
Yeah.
And then having bottom of turn 5.
You would get
40 points.
Because you score at the start on turn 5.
I assume that on turn 5, like you... Yeah.
So, but that's 40 points, which is substantial.
But what am I supposed to do? As Paint Celestine points out, my opponent takes cleanse homers and just goes, I'm not going to play the game.
Well, then you got to go beat them.
Into their deployment zone? What is the standard? Like, I have to go table them or they're going to get 85 points for sitting in the corner, playing Scrabble on their phone.
The point is, you could do that too.
No!
If you're in the app, okay.
If I'm going first, I cannot do that. I have to go table.
Let's put this mission in whatever and move on.
Priority targets will get a mission in not whatever in a hot second.
Yeah. I like priority targets.
I know. It makes you feel very safe and warm and very happy.
Okay. Mission C.
Mission C, we've got Sweeping Engagement,
Rituals,
Scrambler Fields, and the Ritual. This one would be fine. If it wasn't Scrambler Fields.
Okay, so for like all but 3 armies.
Demons, Grey Knights, and GSC. Yeah.
This mission, totally fine. Mm-hmm. Completely just perfect mission.
I mean, it's okay.
Perfect is a strong word.
All right.
It is a Sweeping Engagement, great deployment, I like it.
Ritual, it's fine. It's needlessly weird.
It's needlessly... So I don't like Ritual for the fact that I have to keep placing objectives, but if I could be like, I'm going to point to this spot on the board and an objective marker magically appeared under the terrain in my models and I didn't have to like do the weird shuffle to put the mat down, I wouldn't hate Ritual that bad. I don't dislike it.
Yeah, you basically have to play with objective pucks, which I hate doing.
Yeah.
But like as a concept, it's fine.
It's fine. It's not bad. It is better in practice than I thought it was going to be in theory.
Yeah. The logistics are the worst part, Martin. Nathan points out that the Quidditch example was just J.K. Rowling being like, what, you don't think my game design was good? Well, here's an example that I wrote that it works. Just like you.
I feel like we're straying dangerously close to J.K. Rowling talk. That's not where we want to be right now. Quidditch.
Yeah, I do think that there just should not be... the board looks ridiculous at the end of the Ritual.
It does, yeah.
You
have these weird silly. Like snakes where the objectives are like in the corners or like...
By turn 5, there can be 12...
Yeah.
13 objectives.
My favorite thing is walking into a mission and be like, oh, they're playing Ritual because there's just objectives everywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't dislike it in theory. The issue, it's a fine mission. The issue is that Scrambler Fields plus Ritual needlessly obliterates some armies and is nonsense to others, right?
Yeah. I see. The thing about the Ritual is it also has the thing about how you can get more points late because there's more objectives.
Yeah.
but also I think it rewards controlling the board because you need to control the board in order to actually
spawn the objectives. There's also a very real strategy of, like, forget my objectives, I'm going to go take yours.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the ritual.
No,
I really don't. I
ritual's
think the ritual's fine.
Scrambler Fields is not great, though.
Scrambler Fields plus when there's 13 objectives by the end of the game, they shouldn't all be screening you.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening there?
I think this one is...
Huh? Yeah.
Simply for the fact that, like... Okay, so if I'm playing Eldar and you're playing Black Templars... This is a pretty fine mission, right? But if I'm playing GSC and you're playing Black Templars, all of a sudden you have this gigantic advantage that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it gets worse as the game goes on.
It's like you notice when you go to events, every GSC player is like 3-0, 3-0, and then you hit Mission C, 3-1, 3-1. Like...
It's so bad. Yeah. What are you doing? Demons, it's just like kicking a puppy.
There was
why are you doing this to them? They don't need that.
Very fair... funny moment on one of the YX1s where I was like, oh, TJ, I wonder what happened. And I click on, like, TJ was playing GSC at this event. Pretty good GSC player. And he got, like, 20-0'd by someone. And I was like, what happened here?
That sounds weird.
That was weird. And someone in chat was like, it was Ritual Scrambler Fields. And I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that will be how that goes. Legitimately, I would play Grey Knights. I was considering playing Grey Knights to the World Champs.
Yeah.
Like, I was strongly considering it.
It's literally just this mission.
And then I was like, they're probably going to play this mission. Because they did it at Tampa. Like, and then they did. They did play this mission. And I would have gotten slapped. Like, you just can't go on objectives. What are we doing?
Also good against Inceptors, but, like, whatever.
It's great against Inceptors. Yeah, it was... I don't understand it.
Yeah, it just like
Scrambler Fields, man.
Scrambler Fields should not be one of the missions. If this mission was Chilling Reign, it'd be a great mission.
I think it'd be fine. Yeah,
totally fine.
It'd be totally fine. You end up with a lot of talk about like, oh, where can the unit, like, where can you actually put the objectives and do this and that? And I guarantee you, I've let people deep strike on the objectives by accident. And,
100%.
Yeah, for sure. But like, if it's an army that's based around it, I'm gonna remember.
Yeah. If it's like you're like one random unit or whatever, who cares?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Mission D.
So Mission D.
Dun dun dun.
Oh yeah, Canoptic Court gets hilarious on this. By turn 5, they're like, okay, so I control 6 objectives, which does do it. So if I control 5, it doesn't. Okay. Well, I spawn an objective on my turn, so no longer you don't control half the objectives. Damn it.
Oh.
All right, Mission D. We're back to weird again. So we've search and destroy. Chilling Reign.
Great opening combo. Right out of the gate, this mission comes roaring, and then
it's so close to Mission A.
Do you know what this mission is?
What?
It's the horse meme. Where it starts out.
Where like the front half of the horse is drawn beautifully and the back half is stick figures. Yeah. Deploy Servo Skulls is very unique. I'm going to save you the time reading it if you have never played this.
It's terrible.
Instead of objectives being fixed, you move them at the end of your turn. Mm-hmm. This is dumb for a variety of reasons.
Yes. The first and biggest reason is the fact that every single player turn, you have to pick up and move every objective.
Yeah, so there's 5 objectives on this board. There is a worse mission than this. It involves having 6 objectives on Servo Skulls. But, sure. So, end of every player turn, you move every objective in mid-board.
Yep.
Every objective. So you move 3 objectives each player turn at the end of the turn. Home field objectives don't move and aren't worth points.
They're literally useless.
They're there for secondaries if you draw a secondary that requires you to hold your home. So you only score points based off where the midfield objectives are.
Notably, you don't have to hold them. You only score them from where they are.
Yeah, which I think is totally fine.
Yeah.
End of each player turn, you kick them. And the closer they are to your opponent's deployment zone, the more points you score. If they're wholly within 12, I think you score 2 points per objective.
If they're within 6, you get like
6, I think
5,
you get like 4 points per objective, something like that. And if they're wholly in your opponent's deployment zone, you score like massive amounts of points, like 6 per, I think. You can get a lot of points really fast in Servo Skulls, because if all 3 are in your opponent's deployment zone, it's like
18.
I think they're like almost 8 points apiece or something.
It's so
I would have to... Can you look it up?
Yeah.
Thank you. It's on screen, but it's too small for me to read.
Mm-hmm.
Whee! Yeah. So you get a ton of points if you can kick them into your opponent's deployment zone. This one is purely first turn centric.
Yep.
So you kick them towards your opponent. Mm-hmm. Let's say we are playing on... There's one where we play 24 inches apart, deployment zones. You kick them 6 inches towards your opponent, end of your turn. You then score your points. They are wholly within 12 inches of your opponent's deployment zone, you score points. Your opponent goes, kicks all 3 directly back towards you.
It's 2, 5, and 8.
2, 5, and... Oh, yeah, that explains why I scored 24 points in the Tampa semifinals in one turn. Yes, so... Spoiler alert there. It's 2, 5, 8. Sweet. So you kick them towards your opponent. They are wholly within 12. You score 2 points. They kick them back towards you. They are not wholly within 12 because they're on the midline. They score nothing. Then you kick them back towards your opponent, and you score 2 points per. And then they kick it back, and they score
nothing.
They physically can't score anything, by the way, because they can't kick it far enough to get wholly within 12. If you can see the design problem here, there is no benefit for going second at all. In fact, it's brutally bad if you go second on this mission.
Also, if you go first, you still score at the end of your turn.
Yeah, you score at the end of your turn going first, end of your turn going second. So it is just horrible if you go second on this mission. There's no 2 ways about it.
Yeah.
Everybody, when they play Deploy Servo Skulls, everybody on their first time playing Deploy Servo Skulls
tries to be cute with
They try to be cute. They try to kick it sideways so their opponent can't get it, and then at the end of their opponent's turn, they can't prevent it, and then they'll kick it again at the end of their opponent's turn, because you can kick it twice if you kick at the end of yours and the end of your opponent's. And every single person when they first play goes like, oh, I'm going to kick it sideways to myself, and then on my opponent's turn they can't stop it, and I'll kick it further, and then I'll just chain it down, and I'm a smart player, I'm going to do cool stuff. I did this too. No, you don't do that.
Just go forward.
You always go directly as far as possible towards, as close as possible in a direct line towards your opponent's zone.
The one thing I really hate about this mission is in the way that priority target requires you to kind of be cagey towards the end. This mission is I guess we're going forward, and you have to forehead bash with your opponent for 5 turns.
Yeah,
because
there is no subtlety.
There is it is literally impossible to come back on this mission.
Yeah.
If one objective breaks away and you lose, if there's a weird dice swing and an objective skeets behind you, you cannot come back. The game is just over.
Yeah. Yes, and you always kick it directly towards your opponent.
Yep.
Because if you kick it to the side, remember how I said you can kick it directly towards your opponent, they kick it directly back, you score points, they don't? If you kick it to the side and then they kick it straight towards your deployment zone, suddenly you're both scoring points because you didn't kick it as far as you could have.
Yeah.
Both armies from turn 1 till turn 5 are going to be smashing their foreheads into each other at light speed.
It's just a bad mission.
I can admit that this is a bad mission.
This is not a good mission.
This is a horribly designed mission.
Yeah.
But I like it. I can admit it's a badly designed mission. It massively favors whoever has first turn, to a ludicrous degree. Whoever has first turn just has a massive advantage here. You score, your opponent can't, as long as the fight is even. They have to literally beat you so that you cannot hold objectives at the end of your turn. Also, sticky objectives on this are ridiculous. I played at Tampa, and there was the semifinals. I played Tampa this mission in the semifinals, and I stickied multiple objectives with my world leaders. So, he would shoot my unit to death, I'd sticky the objective, and the objective would start running around on its own. Because I control it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It would just, start skating, end of my opponent's turn, because I moved it, because I control it. I would move it by itself 6.1 away from an enemy unit.
Yeah.
And then on my turn, I wouldn't have to touch it. It would throw itself into my opponent's deployment zone.
It's not a great mission.
It's so stupid.
It's definitely in huh.
I will hold a special place in my heart for Servo Skulls because it rewards exactly what I want to do, but it's not going anywhere other than
Servo Skulls with a passion with Thousand Suns. Full disclosure, I played Servo Skulls 5 or 6 times. Now I literally have not won a game on Servo Skulls.
Yeah.
Literally have not.
I have not lost a game on Servo Skulls.
Yeah.
It holds a special place in my heart. It is very dumb.
Okay. Mission E. Take and hold, chosen battlefields, and sweeping engagement.
Okay. All right. No, this one's still pretty wonky. Take and hold. Sweeping engagement's all right?
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Yeah. Take and hold's good. Take and hold's good. Yeah. Solid mission. Why don't you tell me about Chosen Battlefield?
So there are 2 ways of approaching Chosen Battlefields. The first is if the TO requires you to fix the center objective. So chosen battlefields is the objectives in the center are all removed, and then they're placed
Every
random.
objective.
All of them.
It's all objectives. Fixed center objectives is not in here, by the way.
So, I know. So all the objectives are removed, and then you alternate placing them, which means a lot of the time one person will place 3 and one person will place 2. So you're going to end up with a stacked side and a non-stacked side. And then you have to roll off after you place the objectives to, like, figure out who gets what side. But it leads to, like, very wonky objective placements, and, like, the TLDR is that one person is always going to have a giant advantage because they're going to have 3 objectives and their opponent's not going to have that.
Yes.
There are some like TOs who say in this mission you leave the center objective fixed all the time.
I don't think there's that many. I think it's literally just
us.
Maybe WTC.
Maybe WTC.
We fix the center.
We fix the center.
On our stream games because oh my god, like if I start with 3 objectives on my side and you start with 2, you're screwed.
You're just screwed. Yeah. If you fix the center, this mission's not great but not terrible.
I will go.
If you don't fix the center, it's pretty bad.
It's pretty ridiculous. I have played with fixed center several times.
Yeah.
And here is the thing. Mm-hmm. It is still horrifically unbalanced if you do that.
Yeah.
Because you fix the center, so you say like first drop goes in the center. Mm-hmm. That is a good idea. After that, you can put 1 in a deployment zone and 1 in no man's land.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm the shooting army. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put 1 in the deployment zone in the open.
Yep.
You are going to put 1 in no man's land, let's say like
behind a wall.
Or you're going to put 1 in a deployment zone behind a wall, so you don't guarantee have your deployment zone getting blown up every turn.
Yep.
So you put 1 behind a wall in your deployment zone. I put 1 in the open in the middle.
Yeah.
You put 1 behind a wall in the middle.
Yeah.
Now let's roll off to see whether you have all 3 objectives behind a wall or you have all 3 objectives in the open.
Yeah.
Like, the finals of Tampa was this mission.
Yeah.
And you'll never guess what happened. The Sisters player put all objectives on one side. Jeffrey Caladri put all the objectives on one side in the open. We handshook. The mission, the TO did not say fix the center. We handshook, hey, do you want to not have a ridiculous game?
Yeah.
So we fixed the center objective. And then he played the way he should, and he put 2 objectives in the open. Mm-hmm. And I was world leaders, so I played the way I should, and I put 2 objectives behind walls. Mm-hmm. And then I lost the roll-off.
Yep.
And every objective on my side of the board was in the open.
Yep.
It just sucked.
Yeah.
Like, it just sucked.
Yeah, when I played Jeff, he played Servo Skulls. He went first. He kicked all the objectives straight at me. He got points. I kicked him back I didn't. He kicked him at me. He got points. I kicked him back at him. I didn't. Like...
Yeah. It's pretty ridiculous.
I think this is better than, like, Servo Skulls.
Chosen Battlefields is not gonna get me out of harm.
I think it's in whatever.
You think it's in whatever?
I think it's in whatever.
Yeah, okay. I think it's in whatever because otherwise we're going to have half the missions.
That was the issue, right? Yeah. I honestly think we should move Ritual Scrambler Fields to whatever.
Which one?
I think it's mission C.
Ritual Scrambler Fields is exceptionally dumb.
But for some armies.
Yeah, I want to leave it in Ha just because, like, trust me, TJ does not feel that mission is whatever.
That's a good point. I will say...
Like, on my Grey Knights, I literally didn't play Grey Knights because they might be playing this for 1 round.
There's a good point. That is that, like, this mission is extremely prejudiced against some armies.
Yeah.
Okay. So, moving on to mission F. This is Supply Drop, Chilling Rain, Search and Destroy.
Well, Supply Drop is also a very...
Oh, this is the disappearing one.
Yes, it's the disappearing objectives. This, in my opinion, is it's the worst primary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The problem is, so the way this one works is start of turn 4.
So
1 random objective in the center disappears.
You determine this at the start of the game.
Start of the game.
Yeah.
And then at the start of turn 5, another random objective disappears. And what that means is on turn 5, there's only 1 objective remaining in Midland, and also that objective is suddenly worth like 15 points if you hold it.
So only the center matters, because you cannot score points for a home objective.
Yep.
And turn 4, 1 disappears, and turn 5, 1 disappears at random. Yeah. So this does not go towards the center or anything.
No, they just... Okay, so perfect example, my game into a really good Polish player at WCW, we played this mission. And we rolled, and the one in the center disappeared first. And then on turn 5, the one on his side disappeared. So the objective that was like 6 inches away from my deployment zone was worth all of the points throughout the entire game, and he just didn't get that. So I just went, okay, and moved 2,000 points of my army onto that objective, and then sat there. And I got all the primary, and he got none, because it was worth like 20 points at the end. It's like 15 points at the end of the game or something.
If the objective above your deployment zone disappears first, then the one in the middle, then the one to the right of your deployment zone, you're screwed.
It's real bad.
You're just
real bad.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
If it goes in the opposite order,
you just win.
You have like an 80% chance to win.
Yeah.
And if it goes right, then top, then middle, you have like a 60%. Because you get an objective for an extra turn, and it's worth more. Actually, it's probably more than 60%.
If this mission was instead on turn 4, like both the ones on the side disappear, if you made it even, right? Because the two objectives are not made equal.
No, the one above your deployment zone
is way easier to get.
Way easier to control.
Because in every terrain format, the terrain is angled to like let you hold those two.
And it's also closer to a... I actually did a video about this that'll come out next week in the war room, but like if you're strung out along the longboard edge trying to control a triangle like that, it is much, much worse for your position than if you're strung out along the shortboard edge.
Yeah.
And so the one above your deployment zone is your natural expansion and is the easiest to get to and the easiest to hold.
Yeah.
Whereas the one to the right of your deployment zone is hardest to hold.
Yeah.
And that one is the one you have to go get for 15 points, Chief, or else they're going to hold it.
But also your opponent is just going to like move all their stuff. It's just not a great mission. It's too random. Like, there's way too much of this mission is like determined entirely by like which objectives disappeared.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the this mission, the primary here is my consideration for the worst primary. I get Servo Skulls is very bad.
It's this or Servo Skulls.
I get Servo Skulls is very bad. Servo Skulls at least feels bad evenly. Supply Drop feels like we get into the game and then we find out if I get to have an objective on my side of the board or not.
Yeah. I mean, like Prio is like you get extra points. This one is literally just you get an extra objective.
This is the one that I lost the WCW on. Like, I lost on Supply Drop. Because he held an objective randomly, got 15 points when I was keeping him to 0 primary the whole game.
Yeah, it's not great. It also scores all at the end. Like, in the beginning, you don't get that many points.
Yeah, in the beginning, it's 5 per objective. You fight over them. Then it becomes 8 for the last 2, and then 15.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I think this is definitely
Yeah, I think that I'm not going to make prior drop. Yeah, I'm not going to... we're not ranking in the tiers.
Okay.
I wasn't really planning on it. Because it's kind of hard to go back and...
look at
where we're putting the things. Like, we can't look back and even it out. I'm just going to put it in
I think we should make this one more. This was worse than Servo Skulls, though. I know you said that you're not ranking in the tiers, but I'm going to rank in the tiers.
Fair enough.
So
100%.
It's just like the randomness is just egregiously bad.
Yeah, it literally feels like you show up, flip a coin, and the person who gets heads is
that's what
it's just like 80% chance to win. Mm-hmm. It's super weird.
Especially since really competitive 40k games a lot of times are really knife edge. So if you give one player just like a gigantic advantage, it's less that the other person can't overcome it. It's more that they have to take risky dramatic action too, and the other person doesn't have to do anything and just like.
Yeah, oftentimes in 40k, if I have to bum rush you.
Yeah.
In order to try and shift the board state, and you don't have to do anything except set up because you know I have to, it does not work out for me most of the time.
Not at all.
Yeah. So that is, yeah.
Yep. All right. Mission G.
So Will I Really Am is you actually don't need to control the center objective to summon another one.
You just have to be within 9.
You just have to be within 9. The objective has to be placed within 9.
Of another objective.
And it has to be placed within 9 of another objective.
So you can string them out.
Yeah.
Right? So if you get one down...
And you can also do it off your home objective as long as...
you can do that.
Yeah, as long as the objective that you drop
of your deployment zone.
is outside your deployment zone.
So controlling the center is big, but not like that big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And early you only get like 5 extra points for controlling the center, and the objectives will spawn. Because, you don't need to control the center to drop
Primary
an
and
objective.
ritual tends to look a lot like 5, 5, 15, 15 or something like that. Yeah.
Usually. All right, we've got Mission G.
Sights of Power, Chilling Rain, Hammer and Anvil.
Okay.
I actually don't hate this mission.
I don't hate it either.
Hammer and Anvil's not awesome. It's fine. Chilling Rain, awesome. Sights of Power is like the epitome of like a very okay fine mission.
It's not. Occasionally you get a matchup where you look
and you have no characters.
And you have like 2 characters and they have like 17.
Yeah.
And life is going to get tough there. But I think that happens less often than some of the other missions.
I think also like no one goes in like you're guaranteed to have at least one character because you have to take a warlord.
Yeah.
But like every
if you have one character, like Chaos Knights hate this mission. They have one character. They only take a stalker.
But like if you have 2 or 3.
If you have 2 or 3, and most armies have like 3 or 4, then you're probably okay on this. It can be unbalanced, but it isn't like unbalanced going into the game usually it isn't unbalanced. Usually it's a bit wonky, but like you're not going to be so behind like you would on Supply Drop.
I think this is a fine mission.
I think this one's fine.
I think it's well designed. We have to put someone well designed, Jack.
We do have to put some. We're going to get to them, I swear. We've only hit the dumb one.
Dumb ones are early, apparently.
They are.
Okay.
But yes, I'm willing to put this one in well designed.
Yes.
Just grading on a curve here. I think, honestly, I feel like this one's whatever. Like, I can't get excited for Sights of Power.
That's fine. Okay, I'll accept whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Mission H.
Mission H. Let me pull that one up.
Whee.
We've got Hammer and Anvil again, Chilling Rain, and I don't think I've ever played this one.
I don't think I have either.
Chilling Rain, Hammer and Anvil, The Ritual. Can you make sure that one's right?
That's definitely right.
We usually randomize which mission we play on stream.
I also have the same thought. I was like, have I played this? No,
I've
I
never
have
played
played
this
this before.
You have?
I have played this before. It's fine. This is a well-designed mission, I think.
I can get behind that.
Right? Because basically it's all of the things that we said was fine about the other one, about Mission C, but without the scrambler field aspect.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And it's on Hammer and Anvil, which I think is like slightly better than Sweeping Engagement.
I prefer Sweeping, but that's just me.
Yeah. But yeah, I think the Ritual is an okay mission. I think the Ritual's totally fine.
Yeah, I think it's totally fine. I think this is a well-designed mission. I think this is a well-designed mission.
I think it's well-designed. I mean, the thing keeping it out of, like, Art of War Seal of Approval is the fact...
Because Ritual is kind of annoying.
Ritual's just kind of annoying to play.
I don't dislike it in a, like, theoretical sense. I dislike it in the fact that I literally have to keep moving my guys around and putting the objective markers under them. It was just an annoying task to have to do 5 times a game.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll never play that on TTS. Ever.
Oh, it's the worst on TDS.
Yeah. You have to spawn objectives, move them around the board.
You have to unlock them, move them, change their state so you can see them, make sure they're not under the terrain feature, then relock them. It's the worst.
Yeah, I'm never doing that. That sounds awful. But I appreciate that you have actually done it.
Many times.
Yeah.
Okay. Mission I, Take and Hold, Hidden Supplies, Hammer and Anvil.
Okay, Take and Hold, love that.
Yep.
Hidden Supplies, bit weird.
Yeah.
Hammer and Anvil, okay. Yeah, I mean, this one I think is...
Another well-designed mission, I think.
It could be well-designed.
It could honestly probably also be Art of War Seal.
It could be Art of War Seal.
I quite like this mission, actually.
This mission... Yeah, you know what? I actually like it. I actually prefer Hidden Supplies on this mission, too.
Yeah, no, I like it because it incentivizes you to fight over the center, and it gives you points. It's not unbalanced. It makes you go to the center, and there's a lot of action in the center. I don't know. Like, is there a bunch of reward for fighting over the center? Yes, but also it's a very even reward, right? Like, it's not... As long as you can go there, you're fine.
I do think that, like, Hammer and Anvil has some problems of having 3 objectives very close to each other.
Yes.
At least here, there's 4 objectives, so you can bite off a little piece of the pie for yourself.
Yeah.
And maybe get a 10 or something like that if you just control one.
If you hold the safe one and then you're...
Because it does move. It doesn't split them, like, evenly like this. It splits one a little closer to you and one a little further away.
I honestly think this mission balanced out Hammer and Anvil, makes me like it more. Because you can stay a little further back. You don't have to go all the way to the middle.
Yeah, I think this one is better than Chilling Rain.
For Hammer and Anvil specifically, I would agree.
Yeah, for Hammer and Anvil specifically.
Yeah.
And then Take and Hold rewards. Like, If this were priority targets, hidden supplies would be kind of a joke.
Yes. But since it's taken hold, it's fine.
But since it's taken hold, it's great.
Yeah, this is a good. This is just a good mission.
Talk myself into 100%
Art of War
just being Art of War. Seal of approval.
We need to play this mission more.
We do. I think this one's great. We actually played this the other day.
Oh, we did. Yeah, it was our Death Guard versus Black Templars game.
Yep, that'll go up in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. We're moving soon, so we're recording.
Yeah, we have our backlog is pretty exciting.
What? Are you saying that game went poorly for you? Sorry.
Don't watch that.
But yeah, I mean the mission was grand.
Yeah,
like, the mission was
no problem there.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mission J, priority targets, Chilling Reign, Crucible of Battle. So it's Pariah, which I like. Crucible's pretty good. It's Chilling Reign, which is better than Hidden Supplies.
Yes.
I think this is a well-designed mission. I know you hate Pariah.
No shot. I will meet you in the middle at whatever.
I'll take that. I will accept that. But put it at the top of whatever.
I will put it in the middle of whatever.
Put it at the top of whatever.
It is Mission J. I get to determine where Mission J goes. You get to determine where Mission Q goes. All right?
Sad.
And, I hate Pariah so much.
Yeah.
At least on this one, right? At least on this one, it is a good deployment.
Yep.
And it is Chilling Reign, which is fine. It's not like six objectives priority targets is so stupid.
Yeah.
The reason for that is because you need to take them off of five objectives in order to give them a 5.
Nick and I were playing a game at WCW, and it was Prio, and I was like, okay, I want to give you a 5, and I was like, I should take you off 4 objectives for it to matter, because he was on all 5 of the middle ones.
All 4 of them.
All 4 of them. Yeah. And I was just like, nah, you can have them all.
Yeah.
And it did make a difference, right?
Yeah. True Scott, no ranking within tiers, whatever. We all...
This is my party, I can cry if I want to.
That's right. There's no ranking within tiers, though, because I don't remember what GB and E are, so it's fine.
So I went back and forth. I was trying to figure out how we could put the mission graphics in the tier and then realize there's no way anyone could possibly read them.
Yeah, so and we don't want this to be our first tier where people cannot tell what the images in the tiers are. So
we would never do that.
I mean, at least these graphics are pretty clear, even if you have to have a reference guide on hand to tell what this is.
Okay.
But whatever.
So, Mission K.
Mission K.
I think this is probably the worst mission in the game. This was real bad. So it's Servo Skulls, which is the worst mission. So it's all of the stupid things you have to know about Servo Skulls, where you have to move the objectives, but also there's just an extra center objective.
I have been assured by John that there is a cap on 15 to the primary, cap of 15 to the primary you can score every turn. That is not true.
You can get 32 primary in a single turn.
You can get 32 primary on turn 3 if you do that. Actually, technically on turn 2 if you kick and kick, but it's hard to do. Mm-hmm. If you can get 32 primary in one turn.
If you play GC on this mission and you go first, just
all 4 objectives are going to be buried in my opponent's deployment zone.
Yeah. It's not great.
Just shove. As my opponents push them back out again, I'm like, oh yeah, I actually score another 16. Yeah. Or what's 5? 20? I scored 20.
Okay, let's go to the bottom of this one deserves its own tier, honestly.
It's all the problems of Servo Skulls, but there's just a 4th objective.
For no reason.
For no reason.
This is this is a bad mission. This is not a good one.
No. This one, mission...
This is the mission where you take a gambit. Because if your opponent gets an advantage on you, you're just like...
If your opponent shoves them into your deployment zone, good luck scoring points again. Yep. You're just not scoring primary, so might as well gambit. 4 objectives, you get 32 points in one turn. Oh my god. If you start on the midfield objectives, and you kick them, and then on your turn you kick them, you could score, you score legitimately a 20 on turn 2.
Yeah.
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 You can max primary in 2 turns.
Yeah.
100%.
You get 50 points.
Yep.
By turn 3.
Yep, you get 20 and then a 32. Whoops.
It's when you make a gambit free, because it doesn't matter.
Why not? Oh my god. It's all the problems of Servo Skulls. They were just like, but we're not kicking enough Servo Skulls.
Could you imagine ritual Servo Skulls? Oh, you can't do that.
You can't do that, but like if ritual was turned into a mission rule.
Yeah. Okay. Mission L. Scorched Earth, Chilling Rain, Dawn of War. I quite like this mission.
I hate Dawn of War.
Okay,
Personally.
Dawn of War is bad, but Chilling Rain, Scorched Earth is good. Scorched Earth is a good secondary that they need to use more.
A good primary.
No primary, sorry.
Yeah.
So
Drew, they are not cumulative in that like one objective does not score you 8 and then 2 and then 5.
Yep.
So you don't score 15 points on one objective. But if I have all 4 objectives in your deployment zone, you better believe I'm scoring 32 points.
Yep. Because it used to be that each objective in your opponent's deployment zone was worth 15. So you'd get 45 points in one turn if you had them all.
Yeah, so originally when the cards...
No, sorry, you'd get 60.
Yeah. When the cards came out, they did not word this the best.
No.
But what they mean by not cumulative is they're not cumulative per objective.
Yeah.
So that you don't get the points for being wholly within 12, wholly within 6, and wholly in their deployment zone, but you do get points for each objective.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mission L.
Dawn of War is bad.
Dawn of War is bad, but the rest of this is fine.
It's fine.
It's honestly good.
I think it's a well-designed mission. I think the mission set is enough to overcome Dawn of War being bad.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, if this were a good deployment...
It'd be a great mission.
If this were anything other than Dawn of War, I think.
If this were Crucible of Battle...
If this were Crucible of Battle, it would be Art of War Seal of Approval for sure.
But Dawn of War's... The problem is Dawn of War doesn't give you a lot of flexibility, and it, like, encourages the, like, Napoleonic style, like, forward. There's also, like, if you're a fast combat army, you could just jump on your opponent too easily, and there's no way... You have no space to back up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also the board is so wide that units on the right flank and units on the left flank are playing separate games of 40k.
Yeah.
The Scorched Earth is, you score 5 to 10, but, and so, you'd think like, oh, Jack probably doesn't like that. But it's like, no, to get extra points at the end, you have to actually take back ground and start burning objectives. And so like 5 to 10, and you can burn objectives, you can call whether you think you're going to score your points, right?
Yep.
If I can call and say, I think I'm going to score all 3 midfield objectives, so I'm going to start burning 1.
Yeah.
And if I can finish burning it, then I will score 10 for the other 2, and I will score 5 for that one. But if you kill that unit or you take one of the other objectives away, suddenly I burn it and I only score 5.
Yeah.
Like, you're making a bet on yourself, which I think is cool.
I genuinely quite like this mission.
Yeah, I think Scorched Earth sounds weird, but I think it's quite good.
So when I first started reading it, I was like, oh my god, this mission's the worst. And then I started playing it, and I was like, oh no, this mission's actually, like, just fun. It's just a good mission. Yeah. Because the points you get for burning are not that swingy.
Yeah.
Right? It's like nice, a little extra points, but a lot of times it doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, it's also hard to burn. You need to have a unit ready to do an objective, ready to do an action,
that doesn't survive for a whole turn.
You call it out. You have to be within an inch of the puck to complete the action. So, like, it's tough. And you also need to not do homers with them, not do cleanse.
You can only burn 1 a turn, right?
You can only burn 1 a turn.
Yeah.
People always mess that up the first time they play. They're like, I'm going to burn all 3. It's you can't do that.
Yeah.
You burn 1 a turn. If you burn the one in your deployment zone, you give points to your opponent.
Yeah.
But all the other ones, you get points. Which I think is cool. Like, you can't just burn your home and then run it completely at your opponent because you'll give your opponent 10 points.
Yep.
So, like, I think it's pretty well designed. Otherwise, if you could burn your home and it just didn't give anyone any points...
You probably do that.
You could do it. If it gave you 5, you would do it 100%. Just burn it and your whole army shoves your opponent instead of having to leave stuff back.
I think it's well designed.
I think it's well designed. Dawn of War, I think, is not the best, but it cancels out a good mission rather than anything else. And player going second can't burn an objective on turn 5, which I think is good because that's non-interactive. Yeah. You just walk on, burn it. You don't get to do anything about it. No. So I think it's quite well designed.
Mission M, Purge the Foe, Chilling Rain, Crucible of Battle. I also quite like this mission.
This one is about the opposite of Mission L that we just did.
Yeah. Where
Mission L was a good primary, a good mission rule, and
bad deployment.
Like a mediocre bad deployment. Yeah, like the worst deployment, but it's whatever. This one is a great deployment. Good mission rule, that there isn't one. And kind of a middling primary.
I don't dislike Purge the Foe. I dislike how important it is to get a kill if your opponent doesn't. I think if your opponent doesn't kill anything and then you kill one random unit, that shouldn't be worth 8.
I think you should have to get 2 at least.
I agree.
I think turn 1 you shouldn't be able to score any points on this.
I think if you did that, that'd fix this mission.
Yeah.
If you said you just can't score primary turn 1, that'd be fine.
So the way this mission works is every turn you get 4 points if you kill a unit, and 8 points if you killed more than your opponent. If you kill more units than your opponent killed. And at the start of turn 2, 3, 4, and 5, if you hold an objective, you get 4 points. If you hold more than your opponent, you get 8 points.
Yep.
And end of the game, the player who goes second scores their primary at the end.
Chad is pointing out indirect is really powerful.
Yes, indirect is bananas on this. I was about to bring that up.
Yeah.
So the way this works is it's usually fairly stall-y, and it comes down to like a mix of controlling objectives and losing units, which is totally fine. But turn 1, you can't score objectives, but turn 1 oftentimes will happen is both players are very safe and don't expose anything. So if you have the ability to pick up an enemy unit on turn 1, oftentimes you get 4 for kill, and then 8 for kill more, and they kill nothing, so they get 0.
And that's the game.
And that is an 8-point advantage that you have, which is a huge deal. I think that they should take out. I just think you shouldn't be able to score points on turn 1. Period.
I think if you did that,
because the 8 to 0 is so common on this mission, where turn 1 I managed to pick away a little tiny something with like some indirect, and I get 8 points.
Or even if you cut an angle and you're like, oh, 1 second, you moved up, cool, I shot and killed your 4 Crute Hounds at 8 points.
8 points, yeah, it's so big. And then I think there should be a little more granularity in terms of the objective control. 4 for holding 1 and 8 for holding more. 8 is so much harder to hold more than your opponent at the start of your turn than it is to just hold 1.
Yeah.
It should be like 4, 8, 12, and you shouldn't be able to score a kill on turn 1. And I think that would be totally fine.
I think it's either bottom well designed or top of whatever. I'm
going to put it in bottom well designed because I think it is legitimately.
I think it's a fine mission. I think it has some issues, but I think it's I quite like this mission.
Yeah.
It's also not like super skewy or whatever. Like if I draw this mission in a pack, I'm like, okay, cool, Purge the Foe, it's fine.
Yeah. I think Purge the Foe is totally fine. Now, 100%, John does not feel this way because he played Tyranids, and Tyranids just poop spore mines all over the board, and then you kill them, and it's like, oh, well, that's a kill.
Yeah.
But, whatever, just don't fire the Biobore. It's easy.
Ever was I was Space Soldiers Tyranids, and I had Logan Grimnar shoot a Stormbolter and kill a Spore Mine, and it got me 8 points at the command point.
Hell yeah, brother.
I was like, what was in that Spore Mine?
a lot of very valuable artifacts, I'll tell you that much. Yeah.
Okay, so what is this mission? N?
This mission
Priority targets, chosen battlefield, Dawn of War.
Chosen battlefield, priority targets, Dawn of War.
This one's not great.
This one is my pick for the worst mission in the game.
No, it's
the worst deployment.
Yes.
It is the worst mission rule.
It's not the worst mission rule.
Chosen battlefield on Dawn of War is not the worst mission rule?
That might be the worst mission rule.
What's the worst mission rule?
No, you think of the ones we played, it's definitely this one.
So Dawn of War is the worst deployment.
Yeah.
And there was some discussion in chat about what makes a deployment bad. Dawn of War is very spread out. You're spread out along your board edge. There's no room to move back. It's very easy to cut angles and see because the other side of the board is so wide.
You just don't... There's very little flexibility as to where you can deploy. And a lot of times you're like, wow, I guess I'm going to get shot regardless.
Yeah, if I go second, I'm just getting shot because there's limited places to hide.
Yeah.
And because the other side of the board is so wide, it's very easy to get angles around terrain from either end of the deployment zone.
Yeah.
And the front lines are just so wide on this mission, and the objectives are so far apart.
Okay, I'm not saying this is a good mission, Jack. I'm simply saying I would rather play this than 4 objective servo skulls.
I do think those are the two in contention.
It's definitely those two.
So Dawn of War is the worst deployment.
Yep.
Chosen Battlefield is the worst
mission rule.
Mission rule, and priority targets is in my bottom 2 missions.
I don't dislike. I think priority target's like middle of the pack.
So the thing about Prio is that it doesn't feel unbalanced when you play it.
Yeah.
It feels fine.
Yeah.
But then you look at the scoreboard, and it's just like, what is happening
But
here?
like, if you went second in this game, it's okay. Whatever. It's definitely a mission. This is a terrible garbage mission.
Yes. It's my pick for worst in the pack. For
How about
your
this?
pick is
It's
for
definitely 4 objective servo skulls.
yours is 4 objective servo skulls. Mine is this.
Why don't we just put them together and they can have a good time all by themselves?
Oh, they're super going at the bottom
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, 4 objective servo skulls at least has a good deployment.
Yeah.
This one is bad just across the board.
It's not great.
And Prios, I will tell you, if 3 objectives are on your opponent's side and they're going second,
It's like,
and they have a lot of guns, like, it is, you're walking so far uphill you might be walking, like, it's turns
do you
a
remember
concave.
when I played Siegs and Siegs was like, oh, I went second on priority targets and all 3 objectives were on his half?
Yeah, that's perfect
like,
Siege.
okay.
That is peak Siegs gameplay.
Still beat him.
Good job.
He's playing Admectos. Doesn't really count.
Fair. Yeah, it's
Chosen Battle
just
Servo
so
Skulls.
bad. Chosen Battlefield on Dawn of War on priority targets.
Great. It's not great. Okay,
I mean, I don't.
I definitely put it down there with Mission Q. No. Put it. Flip the 2 around.
No.
Okay.
N and K are
The
sure.
worst.
Here you go.
Thanks.
There you go. All right. They're both real bad.
They're both real bad. They're both not good.
I do think that they are they're the 2 worst.
Yeah.
For sure. Like 4 objective servo skulls is just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And this mission end just feels like just an absolute like tidal wave of bad rules coming at you. Dawn of War, chosen battlefield, priority targets.
Somebody clip that so I can make a gif of it later.
It just all builds up, and I'm like, oh, I have to deal with all 3 of these right now.
Well, let's have our final palate cleanser, Mission O.
Mission O is
Pretty great.
it's a pretty great
mission.
Like it's just pretty great.
So Crucible Battle, great. Chilling Rain, great. I love that we just like love Chilling Rain.
Yeah,
It
we
is the
would
best
prefer
one.
if there were no mission rule. Thank you.
Yes, because they're all
Wonky.
They're all wonky.
They're all unbalanced. Is the problem?
Here's the thing: if you're playing with your friends, mission rules are great. They're super fun. But if you're trying to plan a competitive tournament out, they're just like, okay, well, this is like a random aspect I can't control, and my opponent now has to take advantage.
Yeah, because it never feels like it makes the game weird in a fair way. It always makes the game weird in a way where you're like either you or your opponent just going in has a huge advantage.
Yes.
And that's nobody has fun with that.
No.
Like the game where my opponent had all the objectives on my side in the open and all the objectives on his side behind a wall. Like, I don't blame him for that at all. That's just playing the game of 40K. I would have done the same thing in his position.
Yeah, you did a good.
But neither of us felt awesome about that.
Well, the worst part
board
is that,
state.
like, if you had just rolled differently, right, and you had like rolled the 4, you would won the 4
if
up.
I had 3 objectives behind walls on my side,
That'd be great.
I wouldn't have to do a goddamn thing. I would just win the game.
Yeah. Anyway, Vital Ground is weird, and then there's only 2 objectives in the center, but it's not unbalanced because pretty much what happens is each person takes 1. I quite like Vital Ground.
I think Battleground's pretty good. It also has it gives you a lot of points on turn 5 for controlling objectives at like having bottom of turn is very good on Vital Ground without making it hard to score points on 2, 3, 4.
I agree.
Because on Prios, it feels like someone is telling me I cannot score points. And then on turn 5, they get just rewarded this massive bounty.
Yeah.
But on Vital Ground, if you do control the board for a lot of the game, you will score a lot of points.
Yeah. So, Art of War Seal approval or well designed?
I think I'm going to go Art of War Seal
I agree.
approval.
I actually quite like this mission. I like if I went to a tournament and it was nothing but like A, I, and O, I'd be like totally happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Honestly, the top 6, I'm like okay playing.
Yeah, if you have a 6-round event, just pull those 6. Make
Yeah,
A, I, and O rounds 4, 5, and 6.
Yep, and then HLM 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
That sounds like a perfect event.
Yep. Yeah. So it just I was all about Vital Ground. Like when I saw the mission, I was like, oh, this is gonna be stupid.
Yeah, it's like
and then
fine.
I played it a few times, and like, no, it's just
a good mission.
It's just a good mission. Yeah. It's just a good mission. No real advantage for going first or second inherent to the mission. Going second, you can get a lot. You can get up to 18 points on turn 5.
Yeah.
That's a lot of points.
But, like, you really have to work for that.
You really have to work for it.
Because it requires going and taking your opponents home, which means you winning the board dramatically. Like,
yeah, and if I control the 2 midfield objectives and my home, I get 12 to my opponent's 2.
Yeah.
Which is not a lot of points.
A lot of times what happens is it comes down to you hold your home in one flank, they hold their home in one flank. And then you're in a pretty, like, stable draw kind of area, and then one person makes a good move, they get an extra secondary card, and then they win the game off that.
Yeah, or you try to make it so that you hold yours securely and you contest theirs repeatedly, and they're trying to do the same thing to you. Yeah. I like it. I like it quite a bit.
It's a good mission. So, yeah, I mean, like, I think it's just telling in the fact that, like, between the two of us, I think there's not a single person in this house that wouldn't agree that Mission A is the best mission.
Yeah, which one's I?
That's the Dawn of War.
No shot I put Dawn of War
Hammer and Anvil.
Split objectives, Hammer and Anvil, take and hold. Yeah, that one is a pretty solid one.
Yeah.
I knew going in I would like. Yeah. Like, looking at the pack, I was like, oh, this is sweet. And then I read, B, and that ended up in whatever, and C and D ended up in Yeah. So it's like, as I was reading down, I was like, oh, weird. But A, I knew I would like. Yeah. I and O, I did not. Mm-hmm. And I ended up just being like, wow, damn, this plays really well. Yeah,
they just, like, A feels great. Those two, you're like, this is weird. And then you get behind the wheel, and you're like, oh, this is just a good mission. Yep. Honestly, what I want to see out of the new pack is a lot more missions like A, I, and O, where there's not some weird, crazy point swing. It's just, like, a lot of, like, chilling rain with a good deployments.
Or even, like, the split objectives really just works for Hammer and Anvil. Like, it really just works,
yeah.
Yeah.
It honestly makes Hammer and Anvil better.
Yeah, it really does. It improves Hammer and Anvil. Hammer and Anvil has some issues of a very narrow frontage, so it's really hard to shift board states. Yeah. Because it's really hard to get around your opponent, it's really hard to get angles, it's really hard to do anything on that board. But having an extra objective there makes a huge difference. Yep. It makes a huge difference.
Could you imagine if we'd played our Black Templars vs. Death Guard game and there was not that extra objective, and you just got to post even further back?
Yeah, you would have gotten... Wait a minute. Yeah.
-25, here we come, baby.
Yeah, you would have controlled 0 objectives in mid... Oh, wait a minute, hold on.
I held the 1 for 1 turn. No, I didn't.
No, you didn't. No, just like, wait a minute. You held your home for 3 turns.
Oh, wow, that was a terrible game. But yeah, no, I don't know,
you killed a lot of stuff in that game, but,
Okay, I killed a lot of turfs that 1 turn. Anyway, go watch that game, it's fun.
It is. It'll be out in like 2 weeks.
The missions C, D, F, K, and N are just, like, bad.
Can I see the levy thing? No, I is not Chilling Rain. I is Hidden Supplies, splits objectives, which we think actually makes that mission better. Yeah. So C is the Ritual Scrambler Field Sweeping Engagement, which is just ridiculous.
Okay, it's ridiculous in that it is either a weirdly okay mission or just like the worst garbage mission depending on the faction you play, and that's not something you can control at all.
Yeah.
Right?
It is just an absolute slap in the face for any army that wants to come out of reserves.
But it's not even like you can be like, you can't like walk up to GSC and be like, hey, GSC, don't play with Deep Strike.
Yeah, they can't not do that. They just get to lose on that game.
Yeah. On
that board. They don't get to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. D is Deploy Servo Skulls, Search and Destroy, Chilling Rain, where Search and Destroy and Chilling Rain are doing a lot of work to keep it out the bottom of that.
Yeah.
F is Supply Drop on Search and Destroy. It's the only supply drop.
That was not great.
Supply Drop single-handedly brings it down to Ha tier.
Yeah.
Then we get to the real
The 4 objective Servo Skulls.
So these are just like the 2 worst missions.
Oh yeah.
K is 4 objective Servo Skulls, where they were like, Servo Skulls is not enough. You need a 4th objective in the middle of the board. And N is every bad rule coming out together at the same time. Like, the worst deployment, the worst mission rule, and one of the worst primaries.
Yeah, it's not great.
Yeah.
Not great.
G, B, J, and E are like, I mean, they're in whatever tier.
They're whatever tier. They're fine. I'm not like angry if I play them. I don't love to play them.
G is Sites of Power, which is like wonky, but it's probably fine. B is priority targets, hidden supplies, search and destroy, which is literally just hidden. It's 6 objectives, priority targets is just pretty stupid.
Yeah.
J, priority targets, crucible of battle, priority targets. And E is taken hold, sweeping engagement, chosen battlefield. But I think A, I, O, H, L, M are all just solid.
Yep.
They're all just solid.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's
that wraps it up
for us for today.
That is our opinion.
F is the round 5 mission at LVO. Which one was that? I'm never keeping these straight, by the way.
I know.
I will keep A straight.
Supply drop. I'm glad I'm not going to LVO.
Yeah, I'm going to be commentating. I'm commentating with War Games Live Joe, which is going to be the best. Mm-hmm. I'm commentating LVO with him. And I'm so looking forward to getting to round 5 and being like, well, tactically, he removed the objective closer to his opponent's deployment zone. So. You know.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
All right.
Well, I mean, if that's... At least they're not using KRN, hopefully. Please.
Those missions need to go to the Shadow Realm.
I think it would be so funny if they played Servo Skulls and I just commentate being like, well, he didn't smash his forehead into his opponent hard enough. You just got to play like Rams.
You know what we should do? We should do like a meme game where we try and we take the whole deck and we try and find the worst possible mission combination.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they came really close with N. Like, they tried.
I feel like it would, honestly, for me, it would have to be Dawn of War, Hidden Supplies,
Dawn of War for
Skulls.
sure. For sure.
Yeah, Dawn of War, Hidden Supplies, Servo Skulls.
I don't even know if Hidden Supplies...
Dawn of War, Chosen Battlefield, Servo Skulls.
Dawn of War, Chosen Battlefield, Servo Skulls would be a just clown fiesta. Can you imagine? Yeah, I'm going to put this one just outside of your deployment zone.
Can you imagine that with scouts? So I went first.
Turn 1. Yeah, they're touching your backboard edge. So you put one on the edge of their deployment zone, they put one on the edge of the other one, and you guys both just have guns to the other person's head.
That'd be so bad.
It's just like in the Matrix, just like...
I hope I go first here.
And one person, just as the biggest baller play of all time, goes, I'm going to put one 9 inches next to it. Just also on the same deployment zone line. I will win the roll-off.
No fixed center either.
No fix. Why would we fix the center? Come on.
Oh, boy.
So we end up with 3 objectives.
And then 2 objectives.
2 objectives in the deployment zones don't matter. They don't move. They don't do anything.
No. So it'd be 2 and then 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could just go 3 and 0, put all 3 on the edge of the deployment zone. And then just roll to see who gets the side. And then just, I don't know, I'm going to deploy scouts on it, actually.
Okay, well that seems like the worst game ever.
I don't know, man. I feel like that would be pretty... It would horseshoe theory back around into being a good game again.
Alright, well that's all for this silliness.
No, Dawn of War, the pick 2... Yeah, if we get people like real quick just posting up their worst combinations.
Okay. Yeah.
No, Dawn of War, the pick 2
2
draw for the extra objective.
So you draw 2 mission rules.
Yeah.
So you could do Chosen Battlefields. What else could you do to make it even dumber? What?
Wait a minute. Yeah, so we could get 2 mission rules, right? Because
Yeah.
there's a mission rule to get 2.
Yeah.
Okay. Chosen Battlefield, Servo Skulls, Dawn of War.
Yeah.
What are the other ones?
You could add like Minefield, or if you're all 6 on Advance, you random take a bunch of mortals.
You could do Scrambler Fields. I don't feel like that's dumb enough.
No.
Split Center.
Oh, yeah.
Split Center. So we end up with 4 objectives deployed in midboard. We roll to see what side we get. They move.
Okay. Well, that's dumb.
It's real dumb.
I think that is probably the dumbest mission in the game.
That is what Mike was saying here. It took me a bit to decipher, but yeah, you were saying the pick 2 for the extra objective in midboard. Yeah. Chosen Battlefield. You were right. That one is worse.
That one is worse.
I want you to make a big crown out of paper and put it on your head.
We have that. We have that gif of you.
We do.
I'm the best gif.
Thank you for making that, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually make it. I stole it from the Stat Check Discord.
Unfortunately, you cannot do Ritual and Servo Skulls. if you could,
that would be pretty dope.
that would be the worst one.
Pretty dope. All right, well, that'll conclude us for today. I hope you all had a wonderful time viewing. I had a good time in this video.
This one was fun.
This one was fun.
This one's fun. Hopefully people enjoy us just... I don't think I've laughed quite as hard.
No, not in the video.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you guys around. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.